What inspired me to do this type of painting was I wanted something that was his domain, where he would be at home on the range. Now, I think a lot of a bridle horse in the Vaquero way. This horse depicts being very light in the Vaquero way, straight up in the bridle. He's been through the hackamore and the two-rein system till he got to this point. He shows all of that. He don't have the headset like they have on him because he's just sitting there at rest. And all of the caveata is in the background. There's kind of scattered throughout it. Cattle's way far off in the distance. Here he's his own boss. Whatever his decision is that he makes, it'll be on him. And he pretty well knows his business. And you make no mistake about that. The bosal is taken off because the horse doesn't need it anymore. And he is right up there with a feather touch on the bridle reins. He'll do anything that his master asks him to do. And his master won't ask him to do anything he can't do. So the gear that's on there is rawhide reins with chains. And he's got spurs on. They'll have chains on them. And this is a Santa Barbara spade bit with a loose jaw, and it'll have chains on it. And when he's walking, that goes click, 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 click. And the horse picks up the cadence of that, and he's got the old California walk. He's really moving on. He can cover the distance. Okay, now, the riata, as you can see here, has, the romal, is placed right here where it's there. He doesn't use that on that horse unless he really needed it. Mostly, it'll be on some cow that's moving kind of slow and doesn't want to get out of the way. And he'll stripe her right down the backbone with it, make her move and get out of there. That's primarily what it's for. All of the gear, including the reins, and all are in balance. The maker of that has to make sure that they're in balance. And there's weight in the romal, a little bit that when he smacks it right down his leg, it goes where he's thinking about hitting it. And those things has been kind of lost. The riata has got an extra large coil in it, which most of the time in the old time pictures, and all of my people and me too, we carry it that way because you only have to put a couple more in it and you get it going, and you've got your loop made in just less than the time it takes me to tell about it. And you air mail it onto the subject you're after. Now, my buckaroos and vaqueros are straight up down from the point of his shoulder right down his leg to the stirrup. There's a reason for that. Number one, it's a correct posture that he has to maintain so that through many hours of the day, that's from dark to dark, that he doesn't tire out real fast. And the other thing is that if the horse was to have to make a sudden stop and bounce him out of the saddle, he'll come right down that saddle seat and break his pelvic bone. You can hear that for 5 miles, that pop. So this was their correct position. And the feet are resting on the balls of his feet, of his boot. And that is to help him straighten up. There's a hand spread between the seat of his saddle and the crotch of the man to give him the correct position that he should be in to keep that from happening. In other words, he'll take the shock from his feet and not his rear end. He won't be catapulting out of the saddle. The doctors would hate to have me tell that to the whole crowd. They'd lose patience. Now, there's one notch here. That's what they call, it's a tuft of hair is what it is. And that means that the horse is straight up in the bridle. If he had 2 notches, he'd be in the 2 reins. No notches would mean he's still in a hackamore. That's when they go to catch a horse and there's several of them in there. They know whether it's 1 or 2 notches or none. Depending on the day's events, what's going to take place, the boss will tell them what horses we should have today. I don't know that that's in practice today. I do, but I ain't got a bunch of horses anyway. But you do it anyway because you're taught that and you keep it up. This here is a round skirted saddle. It came into vogue somewhere around 1900. Before that, it was mostly square skirted saddles. They use, I forget the terminology, I think it was Rapahos, for what they use today as saddlebags. They was made out of bear, and there was a pocket in them on both sides that draped down over the skirts of the saddle. And you lift that up to get into for your lunch or whatever you was packing in there, and then put it back down. You didn't need a lid on it because it automatically had one. So there was no buttons or zippers or nothing like that to take care of. And the handling of the reins depicts a lot right there from those that know how the reins are, what the horse is doing, and so on. You kind of know from one to another what was taking place, how light he was on the reins. And it's kind of about the same difference that I might equate it with dancing on a slick ballroom floor with a real good partner. It's very smooth and very soft, and this is about what I'm talking about right here. You're dancing with this partner. And then his bandana, with his scarf or whatever you want to call it, is right here. You can see it flipping in the breeze. He had a lot of use for that, other than just being pretty out there all by himself. When he roped something and knew that there was something else he wanted to catch too, he would put that animal down very easily and tie 2 hind feet, one above the other one with that, and take off and go get the other one. There was other things you do depending on the age of the animal he roped. In the cow brute, if she had a long tail, meaning 10, 12 years old or whatever, he'd take the one hind foot, bring it up, throw a knot in the tail, split that tail, and stick it between her toes, turn her loose and go get another one. She stayed there. She could get up on 3 legs. She didn't go very far, very fast. So she was very handy to catch again. And also, he could tie her down by putting his bandana on 2 feet, tying it one above the other. Still on 3 legs, she couldn't do anything about it. And they weren't smart enough to reach back there and untie it. And so when you look at all the equipment that's on his outfit, he pretty well knew what he was doing. And it all meant something. You almost had to ride with him day by day, year in and year out, to find out what everything was about. If he had to, he could make hobbles for his horse. But if it was need to be, for some reason or other, he's in a situation where he's got to take off and do something, and the horse has got to stay there. Well, when the horse is hobble broke, he'd be there till he starved to death until that man got back and undid it and got on him, and away he went again. The horse doesn't depict real fat. That's because he's been using him. And he just didn't get the groceries and lounging around like some real heavyweight people. So I guess I've about covered that subject on that. The spurs was only used just to get more speed, not to teach him anything at all. nowadays where they have a back cinch. Most of them are hitting the back cinch with the rowels. And where you see here depicts a centerfire saddle, which meaning the rigging is right in the center of the seat, right on down. You can't see it here because he can't lift his leg. And I don't know the terrain here. Some may differ about being one cinch, no breast collar, how the saddle would stay there. What's interesting is that the centerfire stayed there, no matter whether he was roping or whatever he was doing. The pull came on the horn out here, and if you look where it was hinged, where his leg is, it would pull right down, and this here back part wouldn't go up because the cinches and the rigging is too far back. It'd stay pretty close to what it is, and which has all changed. The whole thing has changed, and it's fine with me. The cinch on this one here might have a little ring in it in the center, and if he used a martingale on some horses that were what we call one-gutted, it was built like a greyhound, and they would work themselves even in a walk right through that.